Hi again. My name is Rebel and I'm the Rebel Reseller, and today we're going to be doing the second half of my What Sold video, which will be for Friday through Sunday, July 17th through the 19th. Sales were good. Etsy was on fire. No complaints here. And I had sales on all 6 platforms. Multiple sales on all, but yeah, Etsy and Depop were crazy. And eBay was actually okay also. So let me go ahead and share with you the things that have been selling for me. First was this Wild Republic blue dinosaur plush. This is for Depop, and it sold for $9. And then this Build-A-Bear mini polar bear plush sold for full price, $9.95. Lots of offers get sent on there, but you know, every once in a while something sells for full price. And then this was a Lisa Frank jumbo coloring and activity book. It sold on an offer of $12. This is a Roma Kids Elmo plush backpack, sold for $13.50. Monster High Frights camera action dressing room pieces and parts, and it sold for $15. This is some more of the uranium glass. These were the parfait glasses, and they sold for $18 on Depop. Last but not least were these Applause Curious George plush lot of 2, sold for $15.25. And then Etsy. Etsy was amazing. I sold the Mattel Tootie lot that had Buffy and Chris and some clothes, and it sold for $59.95. This was a Supringo Prayer Rabbit plush, and it sold for $39.95. Russ Dot, the Dalmatian dog plush, little 5 inches from 1998, sold for $29.95. I had picked up, let me think, I think I picked up the Wile E. Coyote, but I had the others maybe listed already. I took the listing down because they all were Mighty Star 24K Polar Puff. Made a lot, and it sold right away on Etsy for $49.95. Animal Alley Bush Baby plush sold for $39.95. And we're still going. Just put these 2 together. I had I think it was the red one listed already. Took the listing down. Started with fresh photos. Ran it through the AI generator. And they sold very quickly on Etsy for $14.95. And then my Fisher-Price Little People Circus Animals. This is from the vintage set. And they sold for $29.95. And then on Mercari, I actually had 3 sales on Mercari. First was this, and I think my best sale was on Mercari. This was a teddy bear pillow cover, sold for $9.72. Dole Cranston Cranberry plush, pretty sure that this was from my high bid estate sale that we won 4 years ago. It was a lot of advertising stuff, and 5 years ago, lots of advertising stuff, fast food toys, just tons and tons of stuff. This cranberry sold for $8.95, and I'm pretty sure this is my best sale. It was that Phone Bone cartoon character plush. It was from a series by Jeff Smith, and it sold for $64. All right, and then Poshmark, I had 2 sales. First was this Aurora Lion plush for $10. And a Dimdaco Orange Pig Lovey sold for $10. And then on Whatnot, 2 sales also. First is this Christmas Village Porcelain Santa mailbox set, sold for $9.95. And then these Boyd's Bears Mohair Bear plush lot sold for $14. And then for eBay. First is Kohl's Dr. Seuss Cat in the Hat plush sold for $9.95. And then another Dim Doco Rabbit Lovey sold for $9.95. And a Walgreens Gray Raccoon plush sold for $9.95. And then a Cal Toy Snowman plush sold for $20.20. Another toy that I picked up at the high bid estate sale. This was an Atrovent nasal spray plush. Dressed up in a football outfit. It is pharmaceutical, drug rep types of stuff. And it sold $8.96. Hasbro Wishlings. Now, this wasn't a great buy. I remember picking this up at the, I want to say, Highway 127 sale. Paid $3 each. There were more of them, multiples. These were what were left. So I just decided to put a lot together. And they ended up selling for $15. But literally, this took probably 3 years. I think 3 or 4 years since we've been to the 127 sale, which I think is this next week. But we're not going. Fuggler. What? I think it was the Dayton Bins. I ended up with 4 or 5 Fugglers. And I've sold several of them already. His name was Harry Fuggs Sir Belch plush from 2024. And he sold for $22.45. Next is an Avon Mommy Bear plush. It has a little photo area on it. Sold for $17.95. Build-A-Bear pajama set. I was surprised that this was one of those outfits that sells by itself pretty decently. Was a very quick sell for me, and it sold for $15.25. VeggieTales DVD lot. I picked these up, I want to say 2 years ago at an estate sale. I want to say I paid $0.25 each for a bunch. I had a case full. Sold some right after listing them, but they've been sitting. And again, it's back to this. I've sold a couple now within a couple of weeks of each other. So it's just kind of odd how that happens. But this set of 2 DVDs sold for $8.96. These were some fashion doll clothes for male dolls. If you don't know if they are Barbie and they're not branded, don't use the word Barbie. These were just fashion doll clothes. None of these were marked, so I just left it at that. And this small lot sold for $22.45. Next is a Walmart long fur pig plush. That was right on the title. Sold for $13.45. McDonald's Fisher-Price Grimace little figure and one of the roll-around balls sold for $15.25. Jimmy, I just picked up these hamsters, I think at the Dayton Bins. Put them together, showed them working, and they sold for $22.45. Next 2 items is a viewer sale, so thank you very much, Tracy. Tracy came and picked up this Pokemon plush lot. They were all Wicked Cool brand, and they sold for $49.95. And then she also picked up the mini book lot of, like, mini book lot of baby books for $13.45. So thanks again, Tracy. Last but not least on eBay was this Playskool Vintage Touch'ems Turtle plush. They're very unique plush. They all have this like almost patchwork type. I've got a little rabbit over here. You guys probably can't see him. That's my one example of a Touch'em that I'm keeping on my wall. But this turtle I've sold a couple of times, and it sold for $59.95. And then for Robert, on Robert's store, he had a sale on Poshmark, another one on Depop, and then the rest were on eBay. First is Poshmark. He sold these American Eagle women's curvy mom jeans sold for $15. And then on Depop, a pair of Aeropostale men's vintage bootcut jeans sold for $19. Then on eBay, Lands End women's sweater sold for $16.66. This was a women's swim cover, made of terry cloth. Maybe could have been like handmade. I wasn't quite sure. Put in the measurements. I don't remember exactly when. I'll have Robert look it up. But pretty soon, eBay is going to have a requirement that you have to use the actual sizes in the setup, in your listings. Like for this one, there was a time where I could just put C measurements, and that was good enough, but not anymore. So what I've been doing is going into the chat GPT and giving it the dimensions and asking chat to tell me what is a comparable size for these measurements. And that's where I threw in the size medium here. And it ended up selling $13.64.
I like how you're throwing me under the bus there to dig up the notification from eBay.
Yep.
Hopefully I could find it.
Yep.
Also, when Rebel says chat GPT, she's using that like Kleenex. She doesn't actually use chat GPT. She uses Gemini.
I use whatever. I use the AI. How about that? All right. Wrangler men's 36 by 30 jeans sold for $13.21. And his best sale was this Sundance brown corduroy skirt sold for $28. All right. I hope you guys' sales are picking up also. And I'm going to have to get out of here. I've got to go pick up Lance from work. And so it's time to get to work or go pick up your kid.
One of the two.
One of the two.
Can you call him your kid if he's 26?
I know. He's still my kid.
He's still your kid.
He's still my kid. All right, y'all. Bye. Play School Vintage Tupham. Play School Vintage Tup.